Welcome to Melody Makers, where we discuss arranging and composing and meet the real melody makers behind the music of Melody's traditional music, folkharp.com, and Afghan press music for the harp. I'm Gretchen Monson, harpist, pianist, organist, and arranger, and your host for today. In today's episode, we have a special guest with us. Kimberly DeRosa is a seasoned performer, teacher, and the founder of the Houston Summer Harp Festival, an exciting music experience for youth, now in its 25th year. Before we chat with Kimberly, let's get a taste of the ensemble work from this festival. This is Thistledown, performed by the 2025 Harp Ensemble. For being on the podcast today.
Yes, thank you.
So what do you remember about the first time you ever heard or saw a harp?
Well, I grew up in Beaumont, Texas, and my parents were really big supporters of the arts. So the first time I saw a harp was when we went to hear a concert that the Beaumont Symphony was performing. And I just remember seeing the instrument, thinking it was so beautiful, and thinking that, oh, everybody must want to play a harp. At the time, I was young and I didn't really see myself playing the harp. I was really involved in piano, but when I was in high school, I went to a private school for just 1 year and there was a harp there. So that's when I started playing the harp. And I really look back and think that is why I was at that school that year. That's when it really came into my life.
Fantastic. And was it easy to find a harp teacher in that area at that time? Because I now know that Houston, has a lot of harp teachers.
Well, in Beaumont, there weren't that many harpists when I was there.
Yeah.
But there was a teacher at Kelly High School. And so the harp and the teacher were both there. So I was able to start. We moved to Houston when I was 16. And at that point, I was in the Houston area and I was able to find harp teachers and continued with harp and piano and clarinet and dabbling in guitar and cello. But the harp is, what's lasted for me.
Oh, that's so much fun. Did you find that any of those other instruments really contributed to helping you learn the harp or the way you interpret your harp playing or all that?
Oh, absolutely. I think all the instruments are just part of a collage in your music studies. And with the clarinet, just having to breathe to play a wind instrument helped me with my phrasing with the harp. Of course, having the piano, the really strong piano background with the reading and the phrasing and being able to express myself musically on the piano much earlier than I could on the harp because I was dealing with the technical aspects of being able to play the harp. That certainly helped a lot with the piano. And then even my dance, because I took ballet when I was young, and the sense of rhythm and even the motions, I know that with my raises that I express the music through my gestures as well.
Wow, that is really nice. What kind of gig came most your way as a young harpist?
Well, once I finished my schooling and was establishing myself professionally, I got a restaurant gig. So I was playing 3 nights a week there. And certainly the special events, like the weddings in particular, were the ones that I was getting the most calls for, and some orchestral work as well. With some of the special events, some memorable moments, in not necessarily a good way, was a wedding that I played at Fargo's restaurant in the outdoor gazebo one year. And something had died under the gazebo. So there was this stench. And of course, I was there early. I notified the restaurant because I knew the guests would be coming. They decided to resolve the issue by pouring bleach around the gazebo. So those two smells just made it even worse. I got through my playing, but my flute player, funny, not funny, was trying to choke back the gag reflex every time she took a breath. And she left immediately afterwards. So I had to finish on my own, being able to get the harp down from the gazebo because she's like, I am out of here. Another one that with more orchestral work would have been when I first played with the Moody Blues up at the Woodlands Pavilion. And we showed up for the rehearsal and we got the music when we showed up. So there was no preparation. There was one piece that had a very exposed harp part, and it went fine for the rehearsal. And then when the concert happened and it was coming up to that part, all the colored lights started swirling around on the stage. And there was no time to stop or panic. My strings literally disappeared with my eyes, and I just had to make a very quick decision not to look at my hands and to go by feel and play it by feel because I could not see my strings. So it ended up going pretty well.
Wow. And which type of gig is your favorite, and why would that be?
You know, over the years, it really has changed. And I think knowing that music is a gift and sharing that gift, it really places me in a lot of different environments where there's just simply the joy of playing the music. I always enjoy orchestral work because you're creating something that is bigger than yourself. Special events playing, you know, sometimes I just get into my own zone and I'm playing, you know, especially if there's a lot of conversation around. But I know that I'm still contributing to somebody's special event. And that includes memorial services as well. I know not everybody enjoys doing that type of work, but I really see the comfort that music provides. And I look at that as a service that I'm able to provide. I think right now, though, at this phase in my life, I'm really, really enjoying playing music that is more in the ambient genre. I have a 30-string electric Camac that I'm now exploring. It has a completely different voice from my other harps. And so I'm really enjoying that and collaborating with artists who are playing handpan, chimes, Chinese flute. I did a concert with one of them with the didgeridoo. We did a harp and didgeridoo duet. So I'm having a lot of fun with that right now. So that's probably my favorite right now.
Wow, that sounds fantastic. So, what would surprise young beginning harpists about the harp world 30, 40 years ago?
Yeah, I have to laugh that you can even ask me that question. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Um, Several things actually. First of all, we got a special request, and especially if it was a funeral or something like that where we didn't have much prep time finding the music. We weren't downloading music. It wasn't available like that on the internet. So finding the time to get to a music store or to check with a friend who might have a copy of that music was what we did. Also, just gigging. I know Houston very well because I did not have GPS at that point in time. I had my key map and I always planned out my directions prior to leaving the house because you can't sit there and look at the map when you are driving. So that's a big thing as well.
And it seems like the gigs were somewhat different because nowadays I hear so rarely of somebody having a restaurant gig, but it seemed to be quite a thing.
Yeah, I think there was more of that. Um, there were still just a handful of them, but again, it's like if the harp is out there in the public eye, then more people are going to think about using it. So when I was playing at the restaurant, I really built up my freelance work because people saw me there and, oh, can you play at my niece's wedding? Or, oh, I have a Christmas dinner party. Would you be available for that? The restaurant allowed me out of college to be able to have some kind of steady paycheck because I was trying to develop my freelance work and my teaching studio. And the more the harp is out there, the better for all of us.
Yeah, wow, that is a really good observation. You mentioned this before, so tell us about how you started, how you are involved now with the Houston Summer Harp Festival.
Yeah, I could talk about Harp Camp all day. I love it. And I founded the Houston Summer Harp Festival at Houston Christian University back in 2000. So this is our 25th year. It's a really special year. And when I started it, I was affiliate artist at the university, which allowed me to use the facilities. So even though I moved away from Houston, they have kept their facilities open to us. And it's a wonderful location for us to hold our festival. We have the dorms available for students that want to stay in the dorms locally or are coming in from out of state. Therese Honey has been by my side the whole time. And Hope Cowan and Susanna Wang are both teachers there, and they bring in their specialties as well. So the philosophy that I have with the Harp Camp, the main thing is if the students are having fun, they're going to learn along the way. And I want them to leave our week with maybe some new friends and with some new inspiration. So the first part of our mission statement is exploring the world of harp. And that's really important because I went through getting a harp performance degree at SMU and my graduate studies at the Royal Conservatory in Toronto. And then I found out that there was this thing called an Irish harp. So I am so grateful for the classical curriculum that I had with my music, but it just opened my eyes. And after all of my degree work, I was able to, really explore things and even delved into South American and Spanish music for a while. And this is what I want to bring to the students. So Therese's expertise on Celtic harp and historical harp. We bring in an element of learning some of the history of our instrument as well. All these things that teachers don't have time to do during the school year. This is something that, we want to offer the students. We have classes about famous harpists like Salcedo and Renier, and they do skits after they research their harpists. So I'm trying to really explore the whole world with different styles and different genres of music through their ensemble music, and being able to play together as a group, because the second part of our mission statement is bringing young harpists together. And we all know that it can be very lonely just taking private lessons from a teacher, or possibly being the only harpist in your school orchestra. I know now there are districts that have developed more harp programs, which is thrilling, but that is not the norm for most harp students. So some of my best friends are my harp people, and we speak a certain language with one another and can share experiences and ideas that just doesn't happen with my other friends. So being able to begin developing this community for young harpists, to me, was a really important feature, so that they didn't feel alone, so they could talk about that, oh, the broken string before my school concert, and have some real sympathy with that. So that's important. And then developing skills and fostering musicianship are the third and fourth part of our mission statement. And that is really to empower the student to support what their teachers are doing, so that they can feel confident, not only at their instrument, but build confidence as a person and be able to have those skills to play the things that they want. So this year, with our 25th year, we do have special guests coming, Meredith McCrindle and Peter Wiley. Meredith McCrindle was at our very first harp camp and is a former student of mine. I'm so excited to have her speak to the students, because now, 25 years later, she is a very successful harpist, playing in many of the castles in Scotland. And she has quite a story, an inspirational story to share with the students about her journey, and just to kind of get them excited about dreaming what their music might be. And I don't expect them all to have careers in music, but if they're coming to harp camp, they will always have music in their life. They get to decide what that means to them. We're just providing new inspirations.
That is fantastic. Wow. That is a wonderful mission statement. Tell us about the other one that you started. So in addition to the Houston Summer Festival, you also have Harp Journeys for adults. How did that get started?
Well, it was kind of a natural progression after doing several years of the harp camp for the students. There were adults, and we felt like Therese and I talked about this, a lot of the curriculum could easily be modified for the adult student. Adult students also feel a little bit alone and questioning in their abilities, and bringing them together. It's the same thing, to have some of that community, to be able to share things and give them an excuse to have some harp ensemble experiences and tailored workshops for their skills and their needs. So the adult student is slightly different, as we harp teachers know, and it was really a chance to be able to customize that for that grouping of people. There was one other thing that I wanted to mention about the harp camp and the collaboration with Gulf Coast Harpers. So in addition to providing this week for young people, we have also had a long-standing collaboration with the Gulf Coast Harpers Association. And this adds another dimension to what we're able to provide at Harp Camp. The Gulf Coast Harpers Association has established memorial scholarships for those who have gone before us, who have had an impact on the harp community. So Cynthia Cooper, Louise Trotter, John Gill, Karen McGarrett, their names and legacies are living on through these scholarships. It allows those of us who are still here to be able to remember them and to honor them in passing it on to the younger generation. So I'm just so pleased to have, looking back at those harpists who were there and looking forward at the harpists who are coming up.
Yes, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for sharing your harp journey and all about the festivals with us today, Kimberly. It's been both fascinating and insightful.
Thank you so much, Gretchen. I really appreciate the invitation to be a part of this.
Kimberly's composition, Flying with Grace, and many pieces and books she has edited are available on folkharp.com and Afghan Press Music for the Harp, and you can see the links in the description. To close, we have a recording of Kimberly of the aforementioned piece, Flying with Grace. Thank you for listening today. If you liked this episode, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this. Share the Melody Makers podcast with your family, friends, and favorite harp playing high schoolers. On behalf of Melody's Traditional Music and Afghan Press Music for the Harp, this is Gretchen Monson wishing you a joyful, music-filled day.